Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will discuss all the domain expansions, but before we start with that, let's discuss what are domain expansions and what they do. So without further ado, let's start this video. Domain expansions are used by skilled sorcerers and curses to trap opponents inside a barrier infused with their cursed energy. The cursed techniques used within the domain are guaranteed to hit, making them a deadly weapon. There are two key elements to domain expansions. One, guaranteed hit. Within the domain, the user's attacks are unavoidable, which makes it difficult for anyone caught inside to defend or escape. 2. Curse technique amplification. In their domain expansion, the user's abilities are enhanced to their highest potential, giving them a clear advantage. The types of domain expansions. 1. Simple domains. These domains protect the user from guaranteed hits but do not grant the offensive capabilities of a full domain expansion. 2. Incomplete domains. These domains are powerful but not fully perfected, so the user gets some of the domain's effects without completing the barrier, but their power is limited as compared to a complete domain. The rules and limitations. Clash of domains. When two domain expansions are activated simultaneously, the more powerful one will dominate. Time limit. Domain expansions consume so much cursed energy that they can only be maintained for a short period. Cursed energy cost. Creating and maintaining a domain requires a huge amount of cursed energy, so you can't keep using them unless you're Satoru Gojo. Gojo Satoru's domain. Unlimited Void. Gojo Satoru's domain expansion, called the Unlimited Void, is one of the most powerful domains in the Jujutsu Kaisen. This technique creates a vast space resembling the cosmos, filled with galaxies, stars, etc. When a person is trapped inside the Unlimited Void, they experience severe sensory overload. Their brain receives so much stimuli that it becomes impossible to process, rendering them unable to move or react. A key feature of Unlimited Void, like other domain expansions, is its guaranteed hit property. This means that any technique Gojo uses within a domain is certain to land on the target. However, the mental paralysis caused by the domain itself is usually enough to neutralize all threats. But the time perception inside Unlimited Void is severely distorted. What might only be a few moments in reality feels like an eternity to those trapped within. This further adds to the psychological impact of the technique. But there is one small rule. Anyone who Gojo has touched, or who has touched Gojo, becomes immune to the paralyzing sensory overload of Unlimited Void. This immunity allows Gojo to use his powers without affecting his allies. Gojo has demonstrated the use of Unlimited Void in several notable instances. During his fight with Jogo, Gojo trapped him in the Unlimited Void, which made Jogo unable to defend or attack. Another significant use of Unlimited Void occurred during the Shibuya incident. Gojo deployed his domain against a large group of civilians, which shows its effectiveness on such a large scale. Sukuna's domain, Malevolent Shrine. The Malevolent Shrine is the terrifying domain of Ryomen Sukuna, the King of Curses. Unlike most domains, Malevolent Shrine is unique because it doesn't require a traditional barrier to trap enemies. When Sukuna activates Malevolent Shrine, the area around him is transformed into a gruesome, shrine-like space filled with skeletons, cursed objects, and eerie decorations. The space feels cursed and oppressive, reflecting Sukuna's malevolent nature. The signature effect of Sukuna's domain is that his slashes are guaranteed to hit anything within the area of the shrine. His ability lets him slice through anything, physical objects, cursed spirits, and humans alike. The accuracy of his cuts is frightening, as they target the weak points of anything caught inside. Sukuna's domain revolves around two core techniques. Dismantle, which is a general cutting ability, and Cleave, a more precise attack tailored to cut through different opponents with specific strengths. Both techniques are deadly, leaving no room for escape once activated. Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine stands out due to its vast range and precision. Without needing a barrier to contain his opponents, Sukuna can freely decimate an entire area while still maintaining the guaranteed hit feature of a domain. However, it can backfire if Sukuna isn't careful, as it affects everything within range, including allies. Jogo's domain, Coffin of the Iron Mountain. Jogo's domain, expansion. Coffin of the Iron Mountain turns the surroundings into a deadly volcanic landscape where molten lava flows freely across the terrain. The immense heat can burn even other cursed spirits or sorcerers. The moment someone steps into the domain, Jogo can command the lava and heat to strike them with pinpoint accuracy, making it nearly impossible to dodge his attacks. But despite its power, Coffin of the Iron Mountain was quickly overwhelmed by Gojo's unlimited void during that battle, highlighting the immense power difference between Gojo's and Jogo's abilities. Although this domain is very powerful, the only time we saw it was against Gojo, and that didn't go well for Jogo. Maybe if he had a different opponent, he could have done a better job. Mahito's domain, self-embodiment of perfection. To activate Mahito's domain, expansion, Mahito forms hand seals using tiny hands inside his mouth, creating a large black environment dominated by giant hands clasped in a flower-like shape. These hands are connected by multiple arms that form a net pattern surrounding the target. Inside this domain, Mahito's ability to manipulate souls is greatly enhanced. He can now transfigure the souls of anyone trapped within without needing physical contact. This makes the domain incredibly dangerous, however. The domain has a significant drawback. Mahito is forced to touch the souls of everyone inside, which can backfire in certain situations. This weakness was exposed when Yuji Itadori entered the domain from the outside, causing Mahito to unintentionally touch Sukuna's soul, which didn't end well. Mahito's mastery of this technique evolved throughout his battles. He first developed it during a near-death experience fighting Nanami and Yuji. Later, inspired by his battle with Satoru Gojo and his growing understanding of cursed energy, Mahito learned to activate his domain for just 0.2 seconds. This ultra-short activation allowed him to use idle transfiguration without touching his target while avoiding the risk of touching Sukuna's soul. Megumi Fushigura's domain, Chimera Shadow Garden. Megumi Fushigura's domain. Expansion is called the Chimera Shadow Garden. It turns the environment into a dark, shadow-filled landscape where Megumi has total control over the shadows. Although it's incomplete, it still amplifies Megumi's ability to manipulate shadows, allowing him to summon and control multiple Shikigami. Inside the Chimera Shadow Garden, Megumi can create duplicates of himself, hide within the shadows, and attack from any direction. Anyone trapped inside must constantly reinforce cursed energy into their feet, because the shadows that flood the domain act like quicksand, pulling the victim deeper into the abyss unless they use cursed energy to resist. This ability to freely manipulate the terrain through shadows forces the opponent into a constant state of defense, making it hard for them to launch any proper counterattacks. The biggest drawback of Chimera Shadow Garden is that it is still incomplete, so it's not as effective or polished as the domains of other experienced sorcerers or cursed spirits. Dagon's domain, Horizon of the Captivating Skanda. Dagon's abilities revolve around water and ocean-themed attacks, and his domain perfectly reflects that. Inside Dagon's domain, the landscape is transformed into a beautiful tropical coastline surrounded by calm waters and a bright blue sky. It seems serene at first, but Dagon can summon massive fish-like cursed spirits from the water, which come in large numbers and can attack from all angles. Since they are invisible until the moment they hit the target, this makes the attack very dangerous. The most significant advantage of Horizon of the Captivating Skanda is its ability to overwhelm opponents with sheer numbers. Megumi Fushiguro's ability to create a small opening within Dagon's domain expansion using his own incomplete domain expansion allowed Toji to enter. Since he is a powerful fighter with no cursed energy, he was able to move freely within Dagon's domain without being affected by its guaranteed hit properties, and he disrupted the advantage Dagon had. Fushiguro Toji's no domain. Fushiguro does not have a domain expansion in Jujutsu Kaisen. Unlike most sorcerers, he's a non-curse user with no innate cursed energy. Instead, he relies entirely on his superhuman physical abilities and his mastery of weapons. Toji's power lies in his exceptional skill with weapons, as well as his unparalleled combat instincts, which allow him to fight on par with and even defeat powerful sorcerers. Because of his heavenly restriction, an innate ability that completely eliminates his cursed energy in exchange for extraordinary physical prowess, Toji does not use traditional jujutsu techniques like domain expansion. His fighting style is more grounded in physical combat rather than the advanced techniques that sorcerers typically rely on. In fights where a domain expansion is activated, Toji can counteract its effects simply by existing within the domain, as the techniques can't automatically target someone without cursed energy. This makes him an anomaly in the world of jujutsu sorcery and a dangerous opponent even to those who use domains. Hiromi Higuruma's domain, Deadly Sentencing. Hiromi Higuruma is a skilled jujutsu sorcerer who specializes in legal-themed techniques, and his domain expansion, Deadly Sentencing, reflects his profession as a lawyer. When it is activated, the domain takes on the form of a courtroom. The target is placed in front of the judge, who oversees the proceedings. The most dangerous aspect of Deadly Sentencing is that the target cannot use their cursed energy while inside the domain. This means that even strong sorcerers are rendered helpless, as their core abilities are sealed off. During the trial, the opponent must answer for their actions. If Higuruma determines that they are guilty, they receive a harsh punishment, and their entire curse energy can be confiscated. If the opponent can find a loophole in the trial, they might escape without severe punishment. However, the domain's ability to strip away cursed energy makes it extremely difficult to counter. Naoya's domain, Time Cell Moon Palace. Naoya Zenon's domain expansion, revealed during his battle with Maki Zenon, is called Time Cell Moon Palace. It traps his opponent in a space where their every movement is observed and influenced by Naoya's mastery over time and velocity. In this domain, any motion made by the opponent is instantly captured and replayed multiple times, creating an illusion of their movement slowing down, even though they might still be moving at normal speed. This effect makes it incredibly difficult for Naoya's opponents to dodge or escape, as he can predict and react to their actions with terrifying precision. The key feature of his domain is that anything the opponent moves even slightly will be recorded, making it impossible to escape without being read like an open book. It forces the opponent into a trap where Naoya can strike them before they have a chance to react. This is particularly deadly considering Naoya's own immense speed, allowing him to exploit the slowed reactions of his enemies while moving at blinding speed himself. It amplifies his already dangerous projection sorcery, which divides 1 second into 24 frames, further increasing his ability to overwhelm opponents. However, this overwhelming power has its drawback. Like many domain expansions, it requires immense cursed energy, and its success depends on whether the opponent can resist the time warping effects or not. Though Naoya's domain expansion is formidable, it was ultimately defeated by Maki's overwhelming physical strength, which allowed her to move faster than Naoya could predict, breaking the rules of his domain. Smallpox Deity's domain, Expansion, Graveyard Domain. The Smallpox Deity, one of the special grades, uses the Graveyard Domain, which resembles a graveyard. Upon activation, the opponent is instantly placed inside a stone coffin that appears from the ground, and a large tombstone is placed on top of it. Once trapped, the target is cursed with a disease-like affliction similar to smallpox. If the target doesn't escape within 3 seconds, they are crushed to death by the coffin. In addition to the coffin's crushing attack, the target is also cursed with a sickness that weakens them, reducing their ability to fight back. The disease is swift and severe, adding pressure to the already limited time to escape. It has a short window of only 3 seconds for its guaranteed hit, meaning it can be countered by quick thinking or strong sorcerers who can escape or resist the technique within that time frame. Kenjaku's domain expansion, Womb Profusion. Kenjaku's domain expansion, Womb Profusion, is an incredibly powerful technique that reflects the sinister nature of his abilities and his mastery over manipulating cursed spirits. The central feature of Womb Profusion is Kenjaku's ability to create and spawn cursed spirits endlessly. Anyone trapped inside is subjected to a flood of cursed spirits, which Kenjaku can launch toward his opponent in rapid succession. Additionally, the womb profusion plays on Kenjaku's ability to manipulate the human body. His cursed technique allows him to transplant his brain into other bodies, and this theme of using life and death as tools carries into his domain expansion. Although it's a formidable domain, it can be disrupted by opponents with strong enough cursed techniques or defensive domains. Also, maintaining such a large number of cursed spirits requires a considerable amount of cursed energy, meaning Kenjaku must carefully manage his resources during extended fights. Yorozu's domain expansion, threefold affliction. The highly skilled ancient sorcerer Yorozu possesses the domain expansion called threefold affliction. When activated, the domain takes on a twisted and chaotic appearance, where oversized organic structures resembling the disembodied brains and nerve cords of insects float in a vast, mostly blank void. The sure hit effect of her domain applies to her constructed items, ensuring they can strike their target without fail. During her intense battle with Sukuna, Yorozu expanded her domain at a critical moment. After creating her most powerful weapon, the True Sphere, she opened her domain to guarantee that this weapon would land a decisive hit on Sukuna. But Sukuna remained completely unfazed by both her domain and the sphere's presence. He summoned Mahoraga to shatter the True Sphere using its Sword of Extermination. Mahoraga was not only able to neutralize her most powerful weapon, but also deliver a devastating blow that collapsed her domain entirely. Yuji Itadori's domain expansion. Yuji Itadori's domain expansion in Jujutsu Kaisen is still somewhat mysterious, as it was only recently revealed in chapter 264 of the manga. The setting of his domain appears to be an empty subway station, which could be tied to ancient historical events. This is notable because, in the domain, Sukuna is forced back into his original form, the one he had when he was hosted inside Yuji before he took over Megumi Fushiguro's body. During the fight with Sukuna, Yuji utilized several new skills that he had acquired during the time skip. Notably, he learned how to use the reverse curse technique, which allowed him to heal and maintain his strength throughout the fight. Additionally, Yuji mastered blood manipulation, an ability he inherited from Choso. Furthermore, his ability to consistently land black flashes played an important role in turning the tide of the battle. However, the defeating moment came when Yuji tapped into the Shrine Technique, an advanced ability reminiscent of Sukuna's own Malevolent Shrine. This power boost enabled Yuji to create a domain expansion where all of his stats were significantly enhanced. Inside this domain, Yuji's abilities reached their peak, allowing him to challenge and ultimately defeat Sukuna. Yudo Katsu's domain expansion, authentic mutual love. This is an extraordinary ability that creates a chaotic environment resembling a wreckage of cross-shaped structures filled with katanas. Within this domain, Yuda can select one of his copied cursed techniques to diffuse into the domain's barrier, granting it a guaranteed hit effect. An essential feature of this domain is that only Yuta can activate the techniques contained within the katanas. However, he cannot determine which cursed technique resides in a katana until he grasps it. Each katana is destroyed after a single use, but Yuda has an unlimited supply of katanas to draw upon. Yuda first expanded his domain during the intense battle against Ryu Ishigori and Takako Uro in the Sendai colony. However, their overlapping domains caused complications and ultimately led to their collapse. He fully showcased his domain's capabilities in a climactic encounter with Sukuna. Yuda imbued Angel's technique Extinguishment into the domain's guaranteed hit effect, effectively forcing Sukuna to cast and maintain Hollow Wicker Basket to neutralize the domain's barrier. However, the domain ultimately collapsed when Yuta was gravely injured by one of Sukuna's slashes. From Gojo's mind-boggling unlimited void to Toji's unique position as a non-curse user, each domain tells a story of power, strategy, and the consequences of cursed energy. Whether it's Sukuna's terrifying Malevolent Shrine or Higuruma's Courtroom of Doom, these techniques showcase the creativity and complexity that make this series so brilliant. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the various domain expansions, please like this video and subscribe for more Jujutsu Kaisen content. See you in the next domain expansion, our next video.